If you look at a group of bright, keen new business professionals, one has to ask themselves, which of them will be successful? At the CGA, we see it quite clearly. Let me explain. Some would have us believe that business is all about a knowledge set, a bucket or a pillar that we might call strategy or management or productivity. They might even call these skills, but you know what? We know better. Take, for example, a young business professional. First week on the job, you might even be able to imagine yourself in this position. Great new job, very exciting, nice new office, new boss. Not sure how great they are yet. We'll see. Perhaps you can get some guidance from them. Perhaps you need some guidance from them. Perhaps you need some advice, maybe some help with something. You might even approach them like this. Hi, boss. I'm looking for some input here. How can I get a different solution for my client? Without blinking an eye, they are told, be strategic, use strategy, be productive, use management, as if these words alone will provide a solution. The CGA knows that these words won't do it. Words can't do anything. People do. Words are interesting, academic, bookish, but it's people who do management or strategy or productivity. There are 3 words of interest to us here when it comes to productivity, and we would like to shine a bright light on the best way to put them into action, into doing, as opposed to just saying. Let's start with operations. Let's say that today is Monday, and perhaps you're preparing for a test on Thursday, and you also have a number of other tasks to take care of by Thursday. Maybe do your laundry, some dinner plans with your roommates or family, maybe even taking care of some bills, student loans, cell phone. What needs to be done to make sure that all these tasks get done well and on time? In other words, how do you ensure that you are productive? Well, to manage this, you may have to do a few things. Firstly, you may have to take a close look at the process of each day between now and then, and analyze your typical week's tasks and determine where each will fit into your calendar. You might have to take into account things like how long each task takes, the ideal conditions for each task to take place, like the best process for each, thinking about any past efforts that you might have managed multiple tasks. Determine if anyone else can help out, and if so, who? We might even then take a look at our roommates' schedules, for example, and see if their schedule allows for it, and if any of them have the skills to, say, get the groceries needed for the big dinner. Not everyone does this well. Some will buy more than they need, some are going to buy less, and some can't do it at all unless the list is made for them. In other words, you have to develop a process for the operations of your tasks. Think about your people, money, production, etc. At the CGA, we know that operations are beyond analysis, beyond ideas. They're actually about doing through planning, not planning alone. But given that any organization's operations change frequently, how can we then adjust to new realities, new people, new financial realities, those changes that seem to fall out of the sky and shock and surprise us? Of course, innovation drives the ability to think through and act on novel circumstances. At the CGA, we know that without innovation, our operations stay stale. They don't respond well to change and may not help the organization get ahead and stay competitive. The challenge is to really get what innovation is about. Well, some would have us believe that it's about new stuff, new ideas. But this approach usually results in something that's just clever. It reminds me of the spray cheese from the 1980s. Cool and innovative to be able to spray cheese, of course. After all, we can spray oil, paint, and glue, so why not cheese? The problem with most clever stuff is that it doesn't really add any value to the organization. Real innovation, the kind that adds value, is not so much about clever answers like, how can we find a new way to sell cheese, but about smart questions like, how can we reduce costs? How can we improve a product? How can we add value to the consumer? Or in this case, maybe, how can we find a new way to deliver cheese that people will value? Now, we're going to move even further into the doing part, the execution of something, hitting the gas, getting moving. What separates a great idea that actually moves, goes somewhere, like the really successful sticky note from 3M, of course, where would those shopping lists be without it? What separates that from the great idea that takes forever to catch on, sometimes catching on far too late or not at all? Like Canadian department stores finally starting online shopping, which is of course a great idea, but in 2012. It's got to be leadership. Not just at the top, though. Leadership is really about the innovative initiative that makes things happen in any part of an organization. At the CGA, we know that most anyone can be a leader if they learn how to work with and influence other people. And we know that different things influence other people, and that there is no one-size-fits-all approach to leadership. We know that, simply put, leadership efforts that don't work indicate poor leadership. Very simple idea. We also know that effective leadership is more about who's being led than it is about who leads, something I think we often forget. Let's say, for example, that you have two friends and you need to have them both help you move to your brand new place. After all, of course, that CGA designation is bound to help you move along in your career, so here you are in a brand new place. A poor leader might try to influence both friends to help out by using the "it would be great if you could help me out" approach, only to find out that this works only with one of your friends. On the other hand, an effective leader might know that different people require different approaches. Like, we may have to use the "if you help me move, I'll help you with your resume" approach, a reciprocal approach, along with the "please help me" approach of the other friend. A great leader needs to know how to work with different people and cater their messages to the differences between them. They need to focus on the others, not on themselves, not on their skills, but on the position, the context, the personality of the other person. Interesting, eh? What seems at first to be about words, operations, innovation, leadership, ends up really being about people. People doing. Operations is planning and acting, not just policies and words on paper. Innovation is people asking the right questions, not just about cool ideas. And leadership, of course, is about knowing and catering to the needs of others and acting upon it. Pretty unique perspective.